quick disclaimer before I get into this one. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I am not a licensed psychotherapist. I'm just a brother who's been around the block and shows other folk how to get around the very same block. Now, let's get into 7 hidden signs of codependency. Now, when I say codependency, what I am referring to is an individual who only extracts or gets their sense of validation, their sense of worthiness as a human being from the relationship dynamics within their life. More specifically, the individual who sees themselves only as worthy when they have somebody else who they are attached to in some emotional capacity. Now, that being said, I wanted to get into the 7 hidden signs. These are signs that you may recognize in yourself. However, most of them are hidden when it comes to this essence of being codependent. We might not think of ourselves as codependent when we see ourselves as being independent or somebody who does everything by their own, quote unquote, or somebody who is the fixer and the helper. And so I just wanted to make these crystal clear for anybody out there who may still be in denial. Let's get into it. Number 1, you forever feel the need to fix broken people. Now, this one is a clear telltale sign, though again, in most cases, we may not view ourselves as codependent. We think we're so independent, when in reality, we find our sense of worthiness within fixing other people, within repairing the lives of others, or finding people who are broken and trying to fix them. That is where we get our own sense of validation. Now, it might be ironic that I'm making this video, but in reality, I no longer get my sense of self-worth from fixing people. You can take the advice or not. You can do with it as you will. You can help yourself, or you can go to hit with yourself, right? So that's the number 1 sign. Number 2 is you only feel worthy when you're doing things for other people. Now, this is huge. Again, it has to do with a sense of worthiness. When you feel your worth, or you only experience a sense or state of worthiness when you are doing for others, this is a telltale sign of codependency. Again, this is extracting your own sense of validation, your own sense of worthiness as a human being from those around you. So make sure that you keep your eyes on this prize right here. Make sure that you are being conscious, aware, and intentional about why you're truly doing the things that you're doing. Are you doing it from a sense of wholeheartedness and abundance and the goodness of your heart? Or are you doing them as a way to justify your own sense of worthiness? Number 3, you feel deep anxiety when someone isn't needing you. Now, this is one I used to experience quite often, but I never pinpointed it down to my need to be needed, right? When I was in a relationship and I wasn't either, giving some type of advice in that relationship, or helping to fix a problem, or helping to solve something, and I wasn't quote unquote needed in that moment, I felt a deep sense of anxiety. I felt as if I was going to lose that relationship, as if the individual was going to leave me if I was not being some type of solvent, if I was not some type of solution to whatever I believed they were going through at that moment. And so for us as recovering people pleasers, right, recovering codependents, we must truly unpack, come to terms with, and be completely honest with ourselves when it comes to, again, how do we feel when those around us are not looking to us as that solution? Number 4, you're a do it all by myself type of individual. Now, this one is a true hidden sign because, again, when you have this rugged independent type of mentality, you may see yourself as an independent. But in reality, the reason you have that mentality is not an authentic independence. It's a fear of rejection, or a fear that people will leave you, or fear that people will find some way to betray you. And so you say, I do all things by myself as a way to protect yourself from those interlinks of the relationships, when in reality, you may as well be the most needy person out of the whole bunch. It's just that the ones that we call needy, it's evident. But the ones who are rugged independents, who are helping everybody else, the Mother Teresas of the world, no shade on Mother Teresa. I'm sure she was an amazing woman. However, this ain't about good or bad. This is about whether or not we gain our sense of worthiness from those around us and the behavior and the actions of others. Number 5, self-love seems like a selfish act to you. Now, we've stepped into a day and age where we have, I believe, the largest... Let me reframe this. We live in a day and age where self-love is now at the forefront. We're coming to understand the importance of self-love. And sometimes we take it a little too far, right? Sometimes what we're calling self-love is not actual self-love, but it's really toxic behaviors masked as self-love. However, what I'm speaking of is that true internal self-validation, that self-respect, that self-esteem that we are, again, gaining from within ourselves as opposed to extracting externally. When we start to truly cultivate that, we realize that to be focused on self is not truly selfish, but the greatest thing we can do for ourselves and for others. Because when we are the greatest version of ourselves, we can give the greatest version of ourselves to the world. And so, when it comes to this thing of selfishness, this is oftentimes a word that is used as a means of manipulation to have somebody act in a certain way or stop acting in a certain way, right? When you're doing something for them, you're a saint. When you're doing it for you, you're selfish. And so, when you always feel as if doing for yourself is a state or an act of selfishness, that is a telltale sign of that programming that has led you to find your worthiness from those around you. Number 6, you know what everyone else wants except for you. Now, this one has blown my mind. I have had client after client, student after student come into my life, people in their 50s and their 60s. And when I ask them what do they want out of their lives, they're easily able to describe the things that they do not want, the things that they're running from, the things that they're evading. But when it comes to trying to figure out what is it that they actually desire within their lives, oftentimes I'm hard pressed to find a true answer, right? It might be, well, I want love. I want a relationship. I want to be with this person. Or I want to have this kind of that, as opposed to, no. What do you want for you? Like, if nobody else existed on this planet, it was just you and you. What do you want for you? What do you want to experience? What emotional state do you want to dwell within? What do you want to cultivate within yourself and experience as a life, right? Away from relationships, what do you want? And when I ask that question, it is almost impossible for a majority of people in the very beginning of when I'm working with them, right? I even had a brother who I talked to and I asked that question, and the first thing was, I want to help people. And though that seems like a beautiful thing on the surface, it really is an indicator of, again, this codependency that is formed over a lifetime in most cases. So be real cautious of that one. And number 7, the last one. No, numero 7. 7 right there. People like to call me out for my counting style. Like, this is 7 right here. It looks like 8 because I'm not putting up the thumb, but that's 7. On the surface, you seem so independent, but within you're afraid. So this is pretty much connected to the do it by myself mentality, but it differentiates in this way. On the surface, you're so independent. I can do anything by myself. I do everything by myself. But really, again, you have an innate and an inherent fear that is driving and motivating everything that you do. And so, again, the reason why you go out and you find people to help, you find people to fix, you find problems to solve, etc., is because you feel that, in essence, there's something that is within you that is far too frightening to look at, right? And that's the one that's the most covert in most cases. That's the one that's the most hidden, is we're really running from our own internal work, our own shadow work, as we like to call it in this day and age. Or you are simply in a state of, again, fight or flight. If they don't like me, then I'm worthless. If they do this, or if they react in a certain way, then that means this. You're always in a mode of calculation. You're always in a mode of seeing what everybody else's responses are in relationship to yourself. And so, again, this independence is created as a defense mechanism that we use. We use it as a defense towards the world, while we're still seeking that validation from the very same people that we're claiming independence from. So you may claim to yourself, I don't need that person in my life, and yet that person, let's say, is financially dependent on you, right? Or they're emotionally dependent. They're dependent in all these external ways, and you feel like, well, I have no dependence and I have no need for anybody. But in reality, your need to be needed is your dependence. And so your fear is that if I started to go within, or if I started to vocalize, my own needs, etc., then these things are too hard to look at. These things are too frightening to confront, when in reality, your freedom will only come once you're willing to face what is within thyself. So that being said, This is just a quick run through for y'all. Just a quick little taste tester. Again, let's get through the list one more time. One more again, as I used to say. Number 1 is you forever feel the need to fix broken people, quote unquote. Number 2, you only feel worthy when you're doing things for others. Number 3, you feel deep anxiety when someone isn't needing you. Number 4, you're a do-it-all-by-myself type of individual. Number 5, self-love seems selfish to you. Number 6, you know what everyone else wants except for you. Number 7, on the surface, you seem so independent, but within you are deeply, deeply afraid. I appreciate y'all for watching this video. Now, for anybody out there who is in this space of transitioning from being this people pleaser and wanting to step into their personal power, make sure to book a consultation with me, a one-on-one coaching consultation where we will break through those barriers. We're going to see if we are a match. We're going to get down to the root of what is actually taking place in your life. And once we get down there, week by week, we're going to bust down. We're going to create new habits. We're going to create a new state of mind. We're going to create a new emotional set point. And we're going to create a new life from those tools and from that basis. So if that's you, go into the description below, click on the link to book a consultation immediately, and then we'll move forward from there. I appreciate you guys. Love you. Peace.